Hi, this is Chuck Oliver. Welcome to this week's Hidden Wealth Solution Review. Well, boomers and retirees, learn what you can do to risk-proof your retirement. I'm going to be teaching this coming Tuesday at retirementprotected.com. That's retirementprotected.com. Things that really should grab your attention, and that's how to remove risk. And I'm talking the two top risks I talk about in Hidden Wealth Radio this weekend, the risk of taxes and the risk, or what I'll call tax, the need for tax elimination is a big risk. It's probably the number one risk. We have high-income earners that are slowly or quickly approaching retirement, as well as those that are already in retirement. They're saying, look, this is the biggest foe we fight, are these taxes, and of course now inflation, which is another form of taxation. But the second one is market deterioration. Many people are saying, Chuck, I really like some of the things which I'll teach you that are alternatives to the traditional kind of direct stock market correlated risk structure that give the ability to actually the same types of accounts, some different, very different, some very limited in offering, but some that are exactly the same you could get in from one of the big box store brokerages, but no downside and only upside. And here's some of the startling statistics, because many of you have said, what do you do, right? With all this digital dollar discussion, the uncertainty, right? The market's obviously off to a poor start here as we've approached this month of September. People are now being more conscious of what's going on with taxes. Well, here's some of the stats, right? If you watch the GOP debate, you had Vivek Ramaswamy, or however it's pronounced. He actually calls for, in his book, a 59% death tax. 59%. I don't know why he stopped at 59. 60%. We were talking to some clients this week that didn't realize that when the Tax Cut and Jobs Act sunsets, if you're somebody out there that's really worked hard, saved hard, maybe you're a business owner, you've accumulated a sizable amount of assets, the estate tax exemption is projected to come down. So the death tax is becoming a bigger target on a larger number of people. But the daily tax, right, the annual income tax, Social Security tax, capital gain tax, these are some things I'll be discussing Tuesday. All those things are projected to go up, but we already know the tax brackets are going to go back up as soon as the Tax Cut and Jobs Act sunsets. So let's control what we can control as we risk-proof our retirement. Number one would be taxes. How do we have tax elimination? But also, not only that, but on top of that, avoidance of market deterioration. Indexing versus investing. I'll teach this Tuesday. Well, 1 in 6 retirees, they're now projecting, are contemplating going back to work because of this thing we'll call the silent partner. Higher taxes, higher inflation, et cetera. But here's what's really happening, folks. Our deficit, this should tell you a lot of the direction where taxes are going, is projected to double. Our deficit spending is projected to more than double this year. And guess why? Higher interest costs, because the Fed has been on a fury of just raising rates at a faster pace in the history of the Federal Reserve for much higher interest carry. In fact, they're saying this is the largest amount of interest carry that the government has ever had to experience because we ballooned our national deficit. But we also are going to have annual deficit spending, especially by this drunken sailor spending administration that's not spending. A drunken sailor, as a client said the other week, said, it's not a fair comparison because the drunken sailor spends their own money. This drunken sailor administration just spends your and my money. Well, they're talking about proposing in this next fiscal budget that comes up very soon, you'll hear a lot of talk about it, almost $5 trillion of deficit spending just over the next 10 years. I think it's going to be worse than that, folks. But here's where it really gets really concerning, right? Not only are you staring at future death taxes, and a couple clients have said, look, I want to remove tax exposure for my children and my grandchildren. But to do that, I want to preserve what I have, so I need to remove myself from the tax system. How do we do that? And it's not through a tax preparer, folks. It's through strategic tax planning. I'll give you a couple strategies, one of which many people have come to learn for the first time. That's been around since President Wilson, going back to the inception of the tax code in 1913, allows up to 100% deduction, typically around 75, 80% first year. And we've had clients, I'll give you an example, at the 75% ratio, been able to remove $150,000 from their IRA to Roth IRA, and done strategically for those that qualify, zero tax, because they're using a deduction, one section of the tax code to offset a tax liability in a different section of the tax code. And many of you have taken us up on this and said, wow, I had no idea, folks. Well, here's the opportunity. Imagine more financial success, eliminating this silent partner in Uncle Sam, not only while you're living, but what you're leaving, and removing your income and your assets, right, from the IRS. Retirementprotected.com, retirementprotected.com. Folks, learn what you can do to control what you can control in risk-proofing your retirement. You work hard for your money. Retirementprotected.com, retirementprotected.com.